Alright, it is back at it again. Here we go. Time to pull apart this 82 Chevrolet S10 pickup. Fun. So, it's today's to come, and it's time to pull this old girl out and get everything out of it because my engine in my truck finally said I'm done. So this swap is happening a lot faster and sooner than I really anticipated on doing. The oil change and stuff that I had uploaded is showing you just how bad the bearings were. Well, that was just really of a waste of time because she's done, and so bad that it's knocking when it gets hot, and there's some bottom end terrible rattling noise. I barely made it home doing probably 30 miles all the way, 30 miles an hour. So, but it made it. It's back, but it is not in good shape. So I'm very excited for this. I can't wait. Been waiting for a long time to engine swap my old S10, and you know, we're getting very close to getting that done. And this right here is step number one of getting this all pulled out. Now I have to can put like 120 miles somewhere around in there. The speedometer doesn't work, so I use an app in order to tell the speed and everything like that, and it has a trip meter on it. So I put a ballpark of about 120 miles on it. That was just to kind of set everything in, make sure that it was good. There's no ticks, no noises, no issues with mixing coolant and oil anymore. Oil pressure is great, 60 psi cold, around 15 to 20 psi when hot. So, and I put my carburetor on here, and I feed other few pieces on here from mine to make it run better and do better, so I could dial everything in. So when I take this out, it's pretty much just turn around and right back in the other truck, because I really don't want to spend time having my truck tore apart for months on end, and then, you know, losing motivation to finish it and get it done, because that's pretty much my daily driver of all I've got right now. Another thing too here, the little, as I call it, lockup solenoid for your lockup torque converter, that either does not work or the torque converter in this transmission is just junk, because it doesn't lock up like it's supposed to. I hooked it up exactly how I hooked up my S10, and it does not work when it's supposed to hook up. So I'm not sure what the issue is there, but that's not a big deal. You can always buy another torque converter, or maybe it's just the solenoid itself. You can take these off and jump the two wires and force it to work, because I've done that before. One more time for the boys, and fire this old girl up. Last time I can hear it. Kind of helped me get some motivation in getting this done. Up, you know, Harbor Freight special here. Gonna take a big chance on these. Are they any good? We're gonna find out, I guess. Have the extra security of a safety pin with them, and one thing I like about them so far is they have a bar between, so the jack stand can't split like these have almost done. Come on, focus. You can see the split in between where it's splitting. Oh yeah, you can see it right there. It's starting to split. They need to be re-welded. These worked very good. I've had these for a long time, very long time. Probably close to when I started doing vehicles, which is probably about 14 years old. So, you know, they are what they are, but they're showing their age, and I figured, you know, I'd try out these They're lower profiled as well. They don't sit so high like these do. And like I said, they got the safety lever, rubber handle, a cool chain with a locking pin. So we'll give it a whirl. I'm gonna put these in the front and see what happens. Figured I'd go ahead and do an oil change. I drain the oil because drain the coolant, getting rid of that. And I figured, well, I'm not going to show y'all the oil change, but when you see that, oh, that's not good. Son of a man, that's just, that is metal in the oil. Apparently there's something wrong with the bearings in this one. I'm guessing probably because of the coolant and oil mixture done something to them. So when I get this engine out, I'm going to have to take the bearing caps off, the main bearings, check them, because that's not what you want to see. Now the pan was kind of clean before I started. I've changed other oil in this, you know, several of the vehicles, but the thing is none of those vehicles had oil in them, because every time that I change oil on any vehicle, including mine, I always watch it the whole time to see exactly what comes out of it. And this is exactly stuff that's coming out of the pan because it's on top. There was nothing like that in it, in this pan. So, oh well, I guess, like I said, pull the bearings off, check those out, see what went wrong. Something's not right. Definitely don't need to be seeing metal and oil like that. Well, getting to the back, I was going to take the drive shaft out, and I guess this model has the automatic bolt loosening method, because I didn't even have to put a wrench on it. I don't even have the size down here with me, but it's a 10mm, and check this out. The daggum bolts are not even tight. One side is, one side's not. So that's very dangerous, because I've driven this on the interstate doing 65, and I'm sure he has too. So that's not ideal. It's not what you want. Kind of sketchy. Alright, I don't know where I left off at, but well, you could tell things have escalated a whole lot since the last time you've seen it. And so the only things that are left, I've removed pretty much all the accessories, radiators out, everything from the front end that needs to be removed, because I bought a cherry picker leveler kit from Harbor Freight that I'm going to connect one here, one there, and then two on the back of the heads. I've got to remove the distributor cap and the plug wires still. I've got most of the sensors unplugged. Wasn't much. The ignition coil's gone. The starter wires are undone. Pretty much all the wiring is done except for the wiring harness is bolted to the back where the transmission's at, and I can't get to it bending over. Can't really get into here, so the next thing to do is to remove the front clip, and I got a few grounds left to undo at the back that you can't get to. There's not much left. I got the exhaust undone from the headers. Part of it's here. Got coolant everywhere. But I had to cut one side. I'm going to have to cut this one. I was doing this last night late, and the blade cut, and I said, alright, I'm done. Fresh start today. And the oil's drained, coolant's drained. So, and the drive shaft is removed. So there's really not much left. I got the transmission mount to undo, the fuel lines to undo, a few grounds, the two motor mounts, one on this side, one on that side, and get the front clip out of here, which involves the grill, the bezels, the headlights, the bumper, and the bumper filler, and then some bolts to each fenders so the fenders can kind of go outward, because the core supports actually go to about here, and you can't get it off unless you take the fenders and pull them out some. So if you hadn't done this already, this is pretty much very simple to do. On the 82 to about 90, you have one bolt here, 2, 3, this one's missing, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there's one missing in that one too. They're usually Torx head bolt, and I believe they're 15 Torx head is the size. Then you have the grill. You got one there, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which I've already removed. The grill won't come out because one of the bolts to here at the bottom, as you can see, the grill goes behind the bezel. So you had to undo this one and this guy. But I'm going to go ahead and take the bezels off, then get the grill out. And once we get those out, then we can get the bumper filler removed. Once we get the bumper filler removed, which is this guy, just a few 10mm, then we can actually get to the bumper bolts, get the bumper out of the way. Because it's going to have to come out of the way. I can't get the cherry picker in here close enough or good enough. I don't want to scratch up and beat up his bumper. So I'm going to remove that and get that out of the way as well. You got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then sometimes there is one on the very bottom. You have to go straight up on this end. There's a 10mm on that end. Same way over here. On the very, very bottom, go up this way, there's a 10mm bolt there. We'll find out if it was actually put in or not. Cause some people doesn't put those in and they just leave them out. It's not going to hurt anything. Yep. They're there. 10mm straight up on both sides. Alright, different day. Back at it again after 3 days of rain. There's a 13mm there. And then you've got either a 13mm or 14 or 15. I believe it's a 13. But anyway, there's 2 there, 2 there. And then once that happens, and then you take the other one off from this side, the whole bumper will come off. I've already taken the headlight sockets, or the marker light and turn signal sockets out. The little piece that goes in the bumper on both sides. And once I do that, and those bolts, it'll come right out. And I gotta say, these brackets are way straighter than mine. My truck was wrecked and everything was hit from the driver's side this way, so it shifted everything this way, and because of that, nothing lines up. You see there's a nice beautiful gap there as well as over here, but if you look at mine, it's not. Look at mine, look at that. There, I can't even get a finger in there because of the bumper's not sitting right. Everything is this way, so the hood rubs the fender, the bumper rubs the grill. It's pushed in over here. There's no room. You see the gap here? Everything needs to go back this way, and I can't because of the brackets on the bumper are messed up. You see my frame where it's been, hopefully you can see it. I can't see because of the sun so bright. But down here, yeah, this whole part here is all smashed in, as well as there. So with all that like that, it's got to be straightened out. But I can use his truck as a donor to kind of see exactly how it's supposed to be set up to rebend mine back somehow so it doesn't rub, because it sucks when you try to open and shut the hood. It messes up the fender on this side pretty bad, and trying to get that grill in and out is not easy. That's just crazy to see how much room there is, how it's supposed to be. I don't see, they got holes on this side, but there's no bolts. Same one over here. They only have 2 on each side. There's supposed to be 4 holding it on. Mine, I usually take the bolts off here, there, and there. Same way here. But it's a pain in the butt. It's actually a lot easier to take the bolts out that go to the frame, to take the whole bumper off that way and leave the brackets mounted to the bumper. Alright, not much left to do. Got the bumper off. And it was 15mm bolts. You got 3, 1, 2, and 3. And if you got the other 2, they'll be the same there. Same thing on this side. There's supposed to be, like I said, 2 more on that side. Not sure why that wasn't put in, but it don't matter. Pretty cool. polyurethane bushings. So to get the fender off, I got at least, like I said, take one off or at least slide it outward a good bit. The bolt's already missing that goes into the radiator support. As you can see, there's a hole there, there, and there. There's one here, thank goodness, but you're missing 1, 2, and 3 bolts that go to the radiator support. Both sides are missing. Oh, they put one there, but that's not right. So I'm gonna have to go probably off the inside. There's probably a nut on the inside, but anyway, so you got one there on top, 2, supposed to be 3, and 4. And then you've got all the bolts on the inside of the fender well. You have one down here, and that's a 13. Then you have a 10, a 10. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got 6 on the inside fender well. Supposed to be anyway. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the outside of the fender this way. And then if the battery tray wasn't in the way, actually I can show you on this side because it's the same way. Then you'll have 1, 2, 3 down here that connect the fender well, the inside fender shield to the radiator support, because you can't get the radiator support off unless you take those 3 bolts out at the bottom. There's actually supposed to be one right here too, but it's gone, thank goodness. Those are very notorious for breaking, and you can't get them off. Taking several off at the junkyard, and man, I'm telling you, it's a pain in the butt to get those off. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and zip through this real quick and get this side off, and then get the radiator support out, because there's not much left. There's a few grounds. I gotta take the hood latch cable out, which is pretty much almost broke in half. Some of it's really, well, no, not broken in half, but it's just pitted really bad where it's breaking, and you can see the cracks. So it's gonna have to have a hood latch cable later on. Anyway, the wiring's got to come out, and I got to disconnect the line, the last line to the AC condenser that I didn't undo the last time. And there's the relay box here, but what I'm gonna do is just take this bolt out here, or this one of the two, and just lay the relays to the side so he doesn't have to figure out how that goes back. There's a ground here. I'm gonna take that off, move that out, and put the nut back, because the wiring harness actually feeds this side. You've got to take it all the way out and feed it back into this side in order to get the whole radiator support out. I'm going to leave the headlights in their sockets. I'm not going to touch those. I'm just going to leave them like they are. Just unplug them and move the whole thing out at one piece. And again, another couple days later. Still working on it. Fuel lines are disconnected. The header on this side is taken off. Shifter, mechanism, all that stuff is undone for the transmission. The only thing left is the 2 bolts to the transmission for the mount. That mount and that mount. The starter's out, and I want to go ahead and disconnect the torque converter bolts, so when I get the whole 2 out and set them down, I can actually just unbolt the bell housing bolts and then separate them. Problem is having an issue of getting the header off. This side's being a pain in the butt. As you can tell, the header is sitting at an angle, has fouled down, and I cannot get the bolts out. So, not sure what I'm going to do there. I could probably get the back one out down there. Maybe the middle one, but this one's not coming out. It stopped. I need to take something and beat the header in just a bit on the bottom side in order to get that bolt out. I'd like to wait to get them out when the engine's on the stand, but the problem is I don't think I have enough room to get the engine and stuff out with the header on there. The header's close to the frame as it is already. I've got to go upward and out and I don't think that's going to work because the way the headers are bent. It's just going to be a big mess. It'd be a lot easier if it had stock manifolds or if the headers were actually off. I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. I may have to go back to stock manifolds because I just don't know about that. I can't get those out. I don't know how I'm going to get them out. But like I said, this side came out easy. It wasn't that bad. Yet you had to take a wrench, and they're 10 millimeters the size. Take a wrench and get it in here, but I cannot get it to where they want to turn anymore. I mean, that's a lot of pressure there, and I don't want to snap the bolt off into the head. That would not be a good day. Don't want to do that. Anyway, we finally got the header off. That's a little bit of a pain, but got it out. Not sure exactly how we're going to get it put back on whenever it's in that truck, but at least it's out. And you can't even get it out. The motor and the transmission being in here, there's no room to slide the header out that way or pull it out this way, because the fat part of the transmission that sticks out as a point corner hits the collector, and because all the pipes are together, even though they're very small, it hits and rubs. So it's gonna have to sit in there just about like that till I get the engine and transmission picked up enough to where I can slide it forward this way and then take the header out and get it out of the way. The ground wire's off. The wiring harness is completely out of the way, stuffed over here to the side. So pretty much now is just the 2 bolts and the cross member bolt. You gotta pick up the cross member, take the whole cross member out, and then lower the transmission downward on a jack with a piece of wood, and then probably put a drain pan underneath there and let some of that drain out. I do have a plug to put in the back of the tail shaft housing, but I want to drain some of that out so don't make a mess, because I'm sure some of it's still going to leak out, and I don't feel like cleaning up a whole puddle of mess of transmission fluid everywhere. So I bought one of these leveler kit, Harbor Freight. Put this on the engine to help level it out. Pretty much like so. So I can kind of get this out and it not being in an angle. Alright, so we got the cherry picker out. It's ready to roll. I got this dolly I picked up today at Harbor Freight for 10 bucks. Not bad, it was on sale. It's up to 1,000 pounds. And I'm going to set the transmission on top of that, because like I said, I'm separating them. And then the engine will go on the engine stand. I bought another one that's bigger than that, and it's also 1,000 pounds. And I think it was $13.99, some crap like that. But anyway, they'll go in this section. I'll move this crap out of the way, set the transmission over here, cover it up, and then the engine will go on the stand. I gotta get the cherry picker over here, but the main thing is why I hate my driveway in the carport. Check this out. You gotta do this. You let go of it. Well, now it's not wanting to do it because the wheels are messed up. There it goes. Not what you want. And the last time I moved this around, I had the truck backed in, and I ended up hitting the truck with it. It's got like a little mark right there, a little crack, but you can't even feel it. You can't even really see it unless you look at it or know it's there. So I might have to get him another set of tail lights. Looks like. I hate that I did that to him. It was on accident, like I said, with the stupid carport. Everything just rolls, and it hit it. But I'll get him another set of tail lights, or give him the cash so I can get him another set if that's what he wants to do. But we'll fix that. So now you see why I took the whole front end apart and got some of the mess out of the way. So this will actually sit in the middle like so. Hopefully there's enough room for those wheels to slide underneath. Should be anyway. Yeah, a lot more room. So I get the leveler set up and get it bolted up. I may have to run to Tractor Supply real quick, find some grade A bolts to pop into the heads, one over here, one over there, and two at the back, so the leveler can be mounted to the block. Well, she's out. And there is stuff everywhere. So, engine separated from the transmission. That dolly worked out perfect. So, good choice on that. Literally, the pan sits directly right in the middle of the two pieces of wood. So, it's completely level on that. And I can roll it around, move it wherever I need to. Gonna unbolt those lines because you can't really move the transmission around much with those lines sticking out like they are. And as soon as I got the engine and transmission unbolted and set it lower like I did, thanks to this leveler, that's worth $40 right there. When I leveled it to get it out, that helped so much because it brought it up at an angle, got it out, set it down, separated them, and it just started dumping coolant everywhere. I can see the whole mess where I've cleaned it up. It filled that whole pan up and then some that was left in the block, I guess. It's a good thing I had the cap on it right there on the bottom of the water pump, because if I hadn't have, it would really had went everywhere. But it started peeing out because it doesn't completely seal, and luckily I got a pan underneath it before it got really bad, because that stuff is really slick. This type of carport, this carport sucks. Plans are later on is to completely degrease the whole carport, clean it, primer it, paint it, and then put some of that metal flake shiny stuff all over it, and then clear coat it so it looks like a nice little, garage, even though it's just a house carport. But you make it what you can for what you got. So anyway, it is separated, it's out, and it's getting close to about 3 in the morning. Yeah. But at least it's out of here, because now I can wrap up some of this other stuff. I gotta get my power steering pump off. He's keeping the lines, he's keeping the AC condenser, and the heater hose to the heater core, all that stuff. But wiring harness, I'm just gonna leave it wrapped up there so it doesn't get caught up in anything. And kind of wrap up some of the stuff, put the fender back in a little bit, put the bolts back in it. I gotta get this motor put up to the engine hoist, or the stand, and then we can put the engine hoist away and all this other stuff away. The whole part over there is full of exhaust. There was only like 4 bolts holding the transmission on. There's supposed to be 6, yeah, and one of them was severely loose, and the tail shaft, the gear part that goes in the back of the transmission, has extreme amount of play. Literally, I can take the shaft that the drive shaft's supposed to lock onto with the splines, go like this back and forth to it. It's pretty shot. I don't know if the transmission has been rebuilt or what. I know it had a delay when it went in drive, and but it got better when it got hot, so it could have been low on fluid. I never really honestly checked it. And that was kind of my mistake. But the lines leaked, the tail shaft seal leaked, the speedometer cable seal leaked, and I believe I figured out why the lockup didn't work, because the whole connector here for the transmission wiggles around. It's not supposed to do that. But anyway, this whole thing is full of exhaust over here that came off the truck. So I have to take a lot of this, put it up in storage. Transmission probably have to stay here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. If I'm going to keep it or as a backup or try to sell it, I don't really know. I don't like the idea of that tail shaft being that loose. That's not ideal. It must have a lot of miles on it. Maybe they put a pump in it and that was it. I don't know. It shifted good, so there's that. But anyway, I'm not talk. I'm going to get this thing put on an engine stand, put some tools and things up, and try to get some shut-eye, because I'm beat getting this pulled out. I'm glad it's done. Alright, so just like that, a few hours later, and it's daylight. Got the whole truck cleaned up now, all the tools and parts, etc. Cleaned up. I've gotten everything I needed off of this that I'm keeping or getting from it. I have went ahead and mounted the hood back on the truck because I can't fit it in the bed, and he's going to ratchet strap it down to the front end, so that's good to go. Got the drive shaft that'll fit, that'll go with it. I can't fit it in the bed, there's no room, and I don't want to scratch up the bumper or the valance or anything else up in here. The radiator support's in it, front bumper, valance, the battery tray, and AC condenser, as well as the grill and the headlight bezels are in here. That's where I put those. Take the drive shaft so the needle bearings don't fall out of the caps of the U-joints. But she's all ready to roll, so won't be long and this old girl will be gone, and soon, sometime, we'll have an LS put in it. Went ahead and cleaned it up again for him, vacuumed it up, cleaned the dash, all that good stuff. Put the bolts, they go to the radiator support in here. Labeled some of the bolts and stuff in here. And you got the pieces that go to the AC condenser, the mounts, brackets. Found out why the door don't stay open. The little spring in there that's supposed to be in this door is missing. So that's why the door never stays. Engine on the stand, there's the transmission. So, off camera, I'm going to do some of the work behind the scenes because apparently a lot of you are skipping through a lot of the video content that I'm uploading. And then you comment on some videos and are asking certain details or sizes, etc. And that right there tells me you're skipping through it because I usually label everything in the videos. But, so because of that, I'm going to do a lot of things off camera to speed up time because I really want to get this engine put in my truck. So I'm going to paint the block Chevy blue just like this. It'll be the same color, the whole block. The pan will stay the same color because it's that bronze gold color. But I'm going to pull the pan off, put a new gasket on it, put a new rim ring seal, a cam seal. I'm going to check the main bearing caps because of the stuff I found in the oil. I still need to take and pop the oil filter off, cut it open, make sure there's no metal in there. If there is, then I need to figure out why. But if it's cam bearings, because these are very notorious for that, the 82 to 85 model carbureted ones were bad for that. Main bearings, cam bearings. I mean, look at my other motor that's in my truck now. It's the same crap. And eventually, this will probably end up making the same noise if it doesn't get fixed. And honestly, at this point, I really don't know what to do besides of just slapping it together and sticking it in the truck. Because apparently I can't get the main bearings and stuff for this anymore. You can't find it because it's so old. And 82 is different because it's the first year. The crankshaft and everything is different. You can't get main bearings for just from 82 to 85. 85 you can, but you apparently can't get them for 1982. Don't make no sense to me, but that's just the way it is. So I'm not going to touch anything else. Fuel pump looks brand new. I put a brand new water pump. Done been through the timing cover, timing chain, crank pulley, harmonic balancer, intake, valve cover. All that stuff is good. I'm leaving it alone. I'm just going to paint it, put a few seals in it, and call it good because there's really nothing else that really needs to be done to it. Now, unlike this one, it's going to take a lot more. I am going to do some suspension parts on this truck because some of the steering's a little sloppy. Some steering, things like that. I want to try to get some upgraded shocks that actually have a coil spring on them. Found some off of Amazon for like 60 bucks of two for the front. Buddy of mine has them, and they work pretty dang good for holding up the whole suspension and handling stuff, because eventually, later on, one day, this will have a V8 in it. Not LS, but it'll be a V8. I also want to do some painting, correct a lot of things that I had messed up and didn't do right correctly way back when all this was all tore apart when I first put this truck together. So I take care of a lot of that stuff off camera, and not really sure if I'm going to record pulling this one apart or not. We'll see. So here's all the extra parts we'll be putting away in storage for now, so I'll have room to pull the other truck apart. This one meaning. I got a bench seat from the junkyard. Believe it or not, I stuffed that sucker in the back of the Cavalier and it fit. I was really shocked. But I'm ready to get started on this. I waited a long time for this swap. So until then, I want you guys to go down to that comment section and you let me know what you think. The old S10 and this swap. I know a lot of you are going to hate me and be like, oh, just put a V8 in there, let's swap it, whatever. Yeah, well, later on, it'll come. But until then, not right now. So, like, share, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one later. As always, there'll be more content coming your way of the S10 swap and others in the mix in the meantime. And a little bonus footage. I'm going to go ahead and spoiler alert. When the LS swap is done in that truck, he may just bring it back and show you guys a good clip of that one when it's done. We shall see. Stay tuned for that one. Catch you guys later.